Hey everyone, today I'm going to go over 3 claims that you can make for VA disability that might not be in your service treatment records. I think this video is important for those of you who are stumped. Maybe you've already put in a couple claims, or you're just not sure where to go. Maybe you don't see anything in your service treatment records, and you just want to move that needle forward. That's what this video is about. This video is also for those of you who maybe this is your first VA disability claim, and you looked in your treatment records and you're like, man, I don't really have anything, but I promise you do. But you just want something that might be a little bit easier to get. I got 3 ideas for you, and that's what I'm talking about today. So the first disability that I'm going to discuss is tinnitus. Tinnitus right now, it's still out there. You should be able to get it. It's a real easy one to get. You got to obviously have it first. But tinnitus is ringing in the ear. So if you've served in the military, you've been exposed to loud noises, and you hear ringing in your ears, that's what it is. It's tinnitus. It's presumptive. It's real easy to prove. You just simply, the way I did it was, I think it was the very first one that I claimed. I put in the claim, and I want to say I wrote up a personal statement to explain why I think I had ringing in the ears or tinnitus, and what I thought I was exposed to, and I submitted that. I went to the doctor's office there at the VA. They scheduled me for an appointment, and the doctor said I had tinnitus, and within a short period of time, I was able to get notification from the VA that I won my claim. So it's a real easy one to get. Probably most people haven't been diagnosed with it if they've never complained about it, but it's real, it's out there, and a lot of us suffer from it. So you might as well put it in as a claim. Before moving on though, I want to kind of talk about, how the service connection part of this works and what a presumptive is. Presumptive just basically means that the VA assumes that you got this from service, probably because of how many people, how many veterans have it. I don't know what the reasoning is behind it, but in this case, it's a presumptive. So if you can articulate how you got this thing in service, you'll get it awarded to you. I think your MOS or your career field has a lot to do with it. So in your personal statement, just make sure you talk about, the exposures that you've had in your military career that were, loud noises and such, and that should help you out. I do just want to make sure that folks understand that although this is a presumptive condition, medical evidence is still extremely important, and this one and the other ones that I'm going to talk about. So, I don't necessarily agree that you need to go out and get a diagnosis from a doctor first on this one, because it's such an easy thing to diagnose. But I definitely think you should push forward a personal statement, like I talked about. I've had a couple friends of mine that have put in for it just willy-nilly, submitting it via the online portal and not really kind of explaining how the disability, or how they believe the disability should be connected to their service, and they got denied, right? Like they had other jobs or other exposures where the doctor was kind of like, yeah, or the rater was kind of like, maybe not. Submit medical evidence even for presumptive claims. So that's tinnitus. We're going to move on to the second one, which is mental health conditions. Mental health conditions, I think a lot of veterans suffer from some level of mental health conditions, whether they know it or not. Most of us aren't going to the doctor and getting treated or even getting diagnosed. But mental health is real. And I mean, it can be anything, I think most people, when they think of mental health, they think, that's not me. But, mental health can be depression, whether, it's major depression or just regular depression, depressed mood. It can be anxiety. It can be PTSD. It can be an adjustment disorder. mental health can be on, several different spectrums of severity. And it's very possible that if you were in the military and you have some sort of chronic pain or even tinnitus for that matter, um, mental health can be connected to those disabilities, and you can get a rating for it because it's real. Um, with any disability that you're putting in, you're going to need some sort of service connection. But this is a video about, claims that you can make that are not in your service treatment records. And although mental health disabilities may be in some people's service treatment records, if you're like mine, it's not in there, but you may have it. And so, this is the type of disability that you can claim to the VA as a secondary condition to something else. Let's say tinnitus, right? Tinnitus is a popular one. The ringing in your ears might drive you crazy. It might keep you up at night. It might, take away your sleep, and it might make you feel all kinds of weird and irritated during the day. It might cause problems for you with your family. You might have a short fuse. Maybe at work, when you're in pain from, your knee, your service-connected knee, maybe the pain at work, maybe you have a job where you're doing a lot of lifting or using your knee or anything that hurts on you. We all get irritated and cause, can cause some ramifications to our co-workers, to our family. So when we can connect these, this is an example of a disability that might not be in your service treatment records. So going back to medical evidence, it's extremely important in this scenario because you may not have that diagnosis at that point, but if you're able to articulate why you think that your disability caused some sort of mental health diagnosis, explaining that to the rater in the form of a or in the form of a lay statement can go a long way in helping you to get the disability rating that you deserve for that. PTSD, another one, right? Like, we've all experienced some things in the military. Some of these stressors could be more impactful than others. PTSD does require a stressor that happens, and there's a good chance that that might not be in your medical records in the military, but it might be in other types of records, right? Your combat, could be documented somewhere and in a medal or maybe in an evaluation, or maybe you earned a combat infantry badge or something like that. So just because it wasn't in your medical records, I don't want you to shy away from it and not claim it. It's out there, it's available. It's a common secondary claim, which it doesn't require anything in your service treatment records related to that disability specifically. The third one I'm going to talk about is IBS. And IBS, irritable bowel syndrome, is a condition that many veterans suffer from. It is you're having diarrhea or constipation or a combination of both, and it can be a very debilitating disease, or it can cause you to not be able to go a long period of time without using the restroom, cause you a lot of time wasted from going to the restroom too much, difficult to keep your foods down and maintain a healthy, nutritious diet. But IBS, some of us may not have went to the doctor when we were in the military and had this documented. Now, for those of us that served in a number of countries in the Southwest Asia theater during post 9/11 and even before then, there's the PACT Act out there, which says that IBS is a lot like tinnitus. It's presumptive. So that means that if you served in that area, in that region during that time frame, or you're exposed to, burn pits, you are very likely eligible under the PACT Act for this to be a presumptive claim. The trick here is, don't forget, medical evidence is important. You want to document why or how you're eligible for this in a simple personal statement. My name is so-and-so, I served, I'm PACT Act eligible. I served in this region during this time, or I was exposed to burn pits. Make sure that your information is in the burn pit registry. A quick opening statement in a personal statement saying those things, and then of course adding on other evidence from your doctor showing that you have been diagnosed with IBS can grant you or help to get you IBS service connected. And then depending on the evidence that you submit, you could get anywhere from a 0 to a 10 to a 30% rating. So that's super important. And so IBS, just like mental health and just like tinnitus, is easy to get. It's service connected if you have if you have that presumptive, if you have it presumptively connected because of your time over in the Middle East, post 9/11 or before. I forget the dates, but I can pin them in the comments below for you. Please take advantage of that. That's super important. Now, that's the third one. I think it's also very important to discuss secondary and presumptive conditions, because those two types of conditions, and there's a whole host of disabilities that can be presumptively connected to your service, or that can be secondaries, which means you can connect these disabilities to other disabilities that you might already be service connected for. Those are two important things for VA disability claims, because you don't need every single thing that you're going to claim to be in your service treatment records, which means you may have been diagnosed with something 15 years after service, but if a doctor can connect that condition to something that you're already connected to, voila, that could be a service-connected disability. And that's a great way to win the VA disability game. So I encourage you to do research, if you don't already know, on presumptive conditions and secondary conditions that are common to disabilities that you currently have. Folks, when you're putting in VA disability claims, or you're trying to find out what you should put in for VA disability claims, you got to look at what you have already connected and what you're diagnosed for, and you got to try and connect them. Google is your best friend in this environment. It can be super helpful to Google, common secondary conditions to tinnitus. See what it says. Are any of those things that you currently experience, will any of them work for what you're trying to claim? Do you feel like those conditions are relevant to you? And if they are, go see a doctor. Talk to your doctor about it. If your doctor agrees with you and he or she is willing to write it into your medical records, you can easily get service connected for a condition that is nowhere to be found in your service treatment records. Today we talked about 3 easy conditions to put in a disability claim that don't require evidence in your service treatment records: tinnitus, mental health, and IBS. We talked about the importance of secondary claims and presumptive claims, because those 2 types of claims don't require that disability to be in your service treatment records.